This is going to be the most comprehensible wholesaling breakdown that's going to take you step by step from step A to step B on how to go out there and wholesale your first house. And I'm going to be breaking down everything, and the only problem that I have with the current situation before we jump into this video is that I feel like I look like everybody else that tries to make one of these videos. They're all dressed up, make it seem like it's some sort of like exquisite thing to be able to get into real estate. And to be honest with you guys, I don't want that to be this. I'll show you guys what I'm normally like. I'm normally in like my sweats and everything, and I don't want to be in this suit. I'm only wearing the suit to make a point. You don't have to be some sort of like rich guy to be able to get into real estate. You just have to be someone that's willing to take action and willing to go out there and do whatever it takes to go out there and have success. And if wearing a suit gives you the confidence to go out there and have success, then wear a suit. But that's not my style. I get my confidence from the results that I get. And so to make a point of taking action and everything and just being myself as far as like getting into the business and being able to have the best results, I'm not going to be wearing this goddamn suit the whole video like everyone else always tries to do whenever they make these videos. I'm going to be just dressed up like a normal guy. I don't want to be the one that's just completely showing off this thing that doesn't even make sense to majority of people trying to get into the business. And so I'm gonna be completely raw and unedited in this video, other than this beginning part cutting over to us jumping inside my computer over here and me talking about every single step as far as how the business goes and everything. And this is who I am. I don't want to be someone that just shows off like that. I wear nice suits, I wear nice watches, and actually I never even wear watches. I just have a couple that I wear for like special occasions, but we don't need any of that inside today's video. And as a matter of fact, this is a better representation of myself. I don't want to be someone else inside of today's video. I want to be myself and show you guys what I personally do and how I can go out there and get into real estate without any money. I just wear t-shirts like this and I wear hats in like literally all my videos because that's who I am, and I don't want to be somebody else and pretend like I'm somebody else inside today's video. So I hope you guys can all enjoy this from a completely honest and transparent point of view. And I want to help you guys go out there and have success in real estate without having to have millions of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in the business. You can literally start with $0 inside of what I'm going to be showing you guys inside of today's video. And also one more thing, there's a couple of things that I'm going to say before we break all of this down inside of here is, first of all, this is going to be from like a beginner strategy. If you haven't wholesaled a single house, I'm going to show you step by step exactly how to go out there and do it without spending any money. And then on top of that, there's going to be a lot of parts that maybe you've already heard, especially if you're a viewer of my channel. I've made a lot of videos on real estate wholesaling. So if you ever want to skip to a different part in this video, it's going to be down in the description down below. I'm going to have little time snaps of the different parts when I talk about different subjects. So if you want a specific answer to a specific subject, go to that part inside of this video. But if you have no idea what you're doing, you don't have the right mindset, you don't even know what real estate wholesaling is, I highly recommend that you watch this whole video, and not just watch it, but also take action on what I tell you inside of here. Because the information that I give you is invaluable if you don't put it into work and actually develop skills around what I tell you inside of my videos, and especially this one. It's gonna be a little bit long, it's gonna be a different structure, a little bit different style, but I want to be completely honest with you guys and break everything down inside of here and do something that others aren't willing to provide with you guys. Is 100% of the information rather than what 95% is what everybody else gives you. And it's just those key little nuggets that people won't give you, and I want to give it all to you inside of here. So inside of this video as well, just one more thing before we jump into it and get started is I don't want your money inside of here. I'm giving this all away completely 100% for free inside of here. I'm gonna give you all this value and all this content, and all that I ask for two things, maybe three if you really enjoy what I have to give you. But the first thing that I ask is that you smash the like button down below. If you smash the like button down below, that helps me out. It helps more people see this video, more people can get advice from this video, and us as a collective group watching and creating this content together are able to grow as well. And then on top of that, if you could join the family and the gang by hitting the subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell right next to it. So if you do those two different things, the like button and the subscribe button, I would highly appreciate it. And also feel free to ask any questions, whatever that you have, down in the comments down below. You may come up with some questions that come up throughout the video. Understandable. There's a lot of different questions a lot of people have. Feel free to drop them down below. I might be able to get back to you, or someone will give you an answer if I don't answer in this video. And I highly, highly recommend that you pull out a pen and paper and write down some of the notes that I give you inside of today's video. There's going to be a lot of value, a lot of content, a lot of different bits and pieces inside of here, and I want to make sure that you get the most out of it. So grab a pen and paper, and I highly recommend that you jot a lot of notes down while watching this. And if you ever have like something that you come across, feel free to rewind and play it back over so that way you get the right information. But without any further ado, let's jump inside of the complete comprehensive guide on how to go out there and wholesale a house step by step by step. So the first thing that I really want to talk about inside of here is the mindset, as well as kind of what real estate wholesaling has allowed me to do, as this is kind of like the thing that's closest to my heart and why I got into real estate wholesaling and flipping houses with no money. And on top of that, the mindset is the most important part. So if you're thinking about skipping around this video, I highly recommend that you don't skip this one part at the minimum, because this part is, like I said, so crucial and so impactful as to what your motivation is and getting to the point, because it's going to take some work to get results in this business. I'm not going to fluff it up and say that you can just have results without putting in a lot of work or having a lot of effort or anything like that. It's going to take it's going to take work, it's going to take effort, but out of this, you're going to be able to have success and be able to do the things that you want to do out of your life. And the thing is you want to be in a position to where, let's say 3 weeks down the road, a month down the road, 2 months down the road, and let's say you haven't gotten success or haven't had results yet, you've taken action on everything, and you're just starting to get to the point where you're just like, man, this really sucks. Like, I just don't feel like doing it anymore. I don't feel like making more phone calls. I don't feel like doing this or that. And the thing is I want you to be prepared for that moment in your career. It happens to everybody. It's happened to myself. It still happens every once in a while. And I have a few things that I can lean back on, and I kind of like take a step back from everything and just reevaluate everything that I'm doing and figuring out really what my purpose is and what my why is. It's really easy to give up and settle for less. And the thing is you need to figure out what your why is. Why are you trying to set yourself up for financial freedom? I know that I kind of gave you guys an answer right there, but there's a lot of different reasons. There's a lot of different whys that people had. And here's some examples of whys that I figured out. And if none of these apply to you, then I'll help you create some artificial motivation, so that way you can kind of just get past of not figuring out what your why is and moving on to the next step of just like, okay, so I'm creating artificial motivation, and after I get to this point, then I can really figure out what I'm really trying to do. And so here's some different examples. One of the biggest ones that a lot of people run into is that they're just motivated by money. They're motivated by being able to have success and doing the things that others aren't able to do. And like, for example, like I've rented cool cars just because I could, and I wanted to do it for some content, and I just wanted to go rent like a Jaguar one day, and it was like $500 a day to go rent out the car. And I just did it for fun, and I didn't think twice about doing it. I just went out and had fun. I went out and rented the car. For example, like being able to go have vacation time, or like go do whatever you want. Like there's some days where I just really don't feel like working, and I go out for like a good 2-hour drive just because I can and I want to, and I want to just go think about stuff, or I want to go on a hike somewhere during like the middle of the day when everybody else is working, or like let's say one day I want to go hang out with my girlfriend. And I have the financial freedom and I have the time available because I'm self-employed to have the ability to do so. If you want that to be your lifestyle, then set that, like, really instill in your head, like, what ideally do you want to be able to do? I love being able to just go do things that others just really dream of being able to do. Like, I've gone on trips, like I've gone to Costa Rica, or a week ago I went down to LA because I wanted to. I do most of the work that I do off of my computer or off of my phone, and I can go travel wherever I want to because of what real estate wholesaling has set me up to be able to do. I've been able to help people. I've been able to help people get results from this YouTube channel that you're watching off of. I've gotten tens of, if not like hundreds of people messaging me, letting me know that they've gotten the results that they've had. Like recently, just yesterday, someone messaged me, hey, I closed my first deal, and it was like a $3,000 check that he just cashed. Not that much money, but closing that one deal sets you up for so much more. And I just love helping people out as well. And that might be something that really motivates you. Or another thing is just like being able to support your family. Let's say that your family just means a lot to you, which they do to myself as well, and being able to financially help them out by being able to make money yourself and kind of separate yourself from everybody else. Being able to make more money and being able to help out your family, or you've got charity that you want to help out, whatever it may be, figure out what it is, and I really recommend that you write it down. I highly recommend that you write it down and figure out, really break down, maybe even go take like a hour-long shower, 2-hour-long shower, and just really think to yourself, what is it that you really want to get out of your life? Like the other day, like I'm still asking myself this question a lot. Like the other day, I just went for like a 2-hour drive up into the mountains, and I really had no destination in mind. I was just trying to go and ponder different things as to what I'm trying to achieve, so that way I can get back into it full 110% and be able to produce the results that I really want to get, and not just do it because it makes me money. Making money is cool and all, but it's about what do you really truly are setting out to do, and really dive into that. Maybe something bad happened in your life, and really dive into like, wow, I want to make sure this doesn't happen again in my life. I want to be in a situation where money is never the problem, because 90% of the problems that we have in this world, that's probably happened to you, that's happened to my life, is because you didn't have enough money in one way, shape, or form, because you didn't have money. And that's just such a simple way to like have a motivating reason as to why you're doing it. So when you get into a dark place, think about this why. Look at that piece of paper that you wrote down in a month from now. Why are you doing this? This is the most important part. I don't care what business you're doing. I don't care if you're wholesaling houses. You can be social media marketing. You can do whatever. You just figure out what your why is. And if you can't figure one out, if you can't figure out what your why is, I'm going to give you guys an example of some artificial motivation. And there's a couple ways that I've personally done this. I've really messed with this a lot inside of my head because it's the most important part. It's not about what the skills are. It's not about what the strategies are. It's about what mindset do you have inside of your head to go out there and have success. And one example is, just picture this. You're walking down the street. You got your loved ones around you. Let's say it's your family, your mom and dad, your girlfriend, your wife, your kids, your best friend, whoever it may be, and you really care about them. And a van comes by and just like grabs them. They leave you there, but they grab your family, everybody that's around you that you love, and drive off. That's it. They're just gone. And you're sitting there like, what the hell? Like, what just happened? And you're probably pretty upset, and you're just like doing whatever you can to get them back. And you get a phone call, let's say. You get a phone call, and it's the people that took your family, took the loved ones around you from you. And they say, hey, John, in order to get your family back, you need to go out there and wholesale a house in 7 days. If you were told that in that situation, and you're in those circumstances, you're not going to go sit around and go watch Netflix and go watch some sort of like TV show, or you're not going to go watch a bunch of random YouTube videos about cats or Taylor Swift or who knows what even is. There's a lot of different YouTube videos out there, the point that I'm trying to make. But you would go out there and work. You would be focused to go get the results. You wouldn't care about the specifics. All you would care about is achieving the goal of wholesaling a house. And if you can achieve that goal by going out there and wholesaling a house, then you can get your family back. And it's totally doable in 7 days if you just laser focus on what's the most important. And what basically wholesaling a house is finding a discounted property and selling it for more to someone that has cash that's willing to buy this property. And if you can instill that mindset inside of your head, then you can go out there and just set up this mindset that you need to get results as soon as possible so you can fix this situation, even though it's not even true. Or another way that I've done this is, like, for example, one day I hit a pothole in my car when I was driving down the highway at 80 miles an hour, and it ended up bending two of my rims. I was able to make it home and everything, but I took it to the car shop. I thought they could just balance the tires, and it turned out I had to buy 2 new rims because it hit both sides on the car. And it was only going to cost me, I think, like $400 to $800. At the end of the day, it cost me like $400 to get fixed. But anyways, I had the money to do it. But I didn't fix this situation for a whole month. I made this the biggest pain in my life to have to go. Like, basically the biggest problem is the car would shake when I would drive it. And on top of that, my rear tire would lose air every 24 hours. So if I ever wanted to go anywhere, like, I'd either have to make a big trip out of it, or like every day I'd go drive my car, I'd have to go fill it up with air. It was a super big inconvenience for me. It was the biggest pain in the butt. I had to go spend $1.50 at the gas station to fill up the tire with air so I could go maybe, see my girlfriend cheerlead at a basketball game because she was a cheerleader, or go buy some groceries at the store. In order to go do anything, I had to fill up my tire with air. And something that simple got me motivated to put in more work so that way I can make more money in some weird, twisted way. And the point that I'm making is you don't need to do something like crazy like that. But if you can do something like crazy like that, it'll help give yourself some motivation. So figure out what your why is. If you don't know what your why is, then figure out what you can do to make some sort of artificial motivation so that way you can go out there and take action. So now the next part that I really want to cover is what is real estate wholesaling. Now, I know some of you guys asking or watching this video have no idea what it is. You want to get into real estate, don't have any money whatsoever, and you just want to set up some sort of financial freedom. What real estate wholesaling is the art of finding discounted properties. So I'm going to jump inside of my computer right here, and I'm going to illustrate for you guys what real estate wholesaling looks like as far as like a macro scale, kind of like looking 1,000 foot per 30,000 foot perspective, looking down on the business. So that way you guys can get a lot better of an understanding of what you need to know to go do a deal. So jumping in my computer, as you can see, we got a blank board, and basically what you're doing is you're finding a discounted property. So what this looks like is, let's say that you find some sort of house out in the streets and they're a motivated seller. Let's say this house is worth, like, just for the sake of the video, it's worth $100,000. So you got this $100,000 house and you come across this seller and they're motivated. Let's say they're a tired landlord and they've had tenants that's lived in this house for 5 years, and then they just destroyed the house. They totally ruined it, and now the landlord's just like, I don't want to rent anymore. They were so good, and then all of a sudden they just killed me, and they just had some sort of like bad experience, and obviously not literally killed. I say a lot of stuff that I realized later that it didn't really make too much sense. So let's say you got this house, and the seller comes up to you saying, hey, John, I want to just get rid of this house. I don't want to work with it anymore. I'm tired of doing the deal and everything. And I'll just give it to you for $50,000, and it needs $10,000 in repair. So they give it to you, the seller gives it to you for $50,000, and it needs $10K in repairs. So all in all, if you were to buy it yourself and pick up this property, you'd go all in about $60,000, and you'd be able to make $40,000 on this deal. So out of here, then what you can do, instead of, like, let's say that you don't have the $60,000, or you can't go get a mortgage for this deal. You have no money whatsoever. So what you can do is you sign it up. You're like, okay, Bob, I'll buy your house for $50,000 and we can close in 7 days, and I'll pay you all cash. Now here's the thing. You don't have to have $50,000 all cash. But what this allows is the convenience that they're getting the cash, and you can help them close quickly and get the property off of their hands. And just don't worry about the finer details. I'll explain it all in a minute. But you get it all written up on a contract for $50,000, and you're going to close in like 7 days. So now what you're going to do with this contract is you're going to turn around and sell it over to a cash buyer that has, let's say, $60,000 that they're willing to buy this house for. If an investor buys it for $60,000 and they have to put $10,000 in, they're all in at $70,000, and all they have, and after they do all these repairs or turn it into a rental, whatever, they got $30,000 in equity. They can make $30,000 in profit on this deal. So now that you've got this under contract and you find someone that's willing to buy it for, let's say, $60,000 in this scenario, then this is what's going to happen. So you find the buyer, you tell them, hey, I got this crazy deal, this investment property, it just needs some repairs, and it's going to cost, I'm willing to sign the contract over to you for $60,000. So now the buyer, he's happy because he got this crazy deal for $60,000 and he only has to put $10K into it and he can make $30,000. So the buyer is making $30K. Now the thing is that you as a seller, or you as the wholesaler, the middleman for getting this contract right here, if you do the math, if you sell it for $60K over to the buyer, and then you bought it for $50,000, you got it on a contract for $50,000, then that means that you're going to be making $10,000 on this deal in cash, paid in full, as soon as the buyer buys this property. And how much work did you do to get this moving forward? Yeah, you probably put some work, put some hours into finding this deal right here, and then you put some time into building up the relationship and being able to buy this property for $50,000 and get it on a contract. And then you flip it over to this buyer. But once this is all said and done, this is going to be the fastest $10,000 that you ever made in your life. Because after you've done all these steps, that's it. You just get paid $10,000 for the deal, and you'll either get like a check or like I've had wired into my bank account. And this is just an example. Not all deals are for $10,000. That's just an average. Some deals, like personally, my highest deal that I've been paid out on for a wholesale assignment fee was $20,000. But I know people that have gone out there and wholesale houses for six figures. And then obviously there's a couple people that do it for like a couple grand, $5,000, $7,000, whatever. You can really pick out your assignment fee based off of how good the deal is. So the better that you negotiate this property, the more that you make on this deal. So all it takes is finding a motivated seller, motivated discounted property, and then you're going to get it under contract right here. And then you're going to sign the buyer with another contract. You're going to get them to sign it saying that they're buying it for $60,000, and then you get paid out for the difference. So $60,000 minus $50,000, you make $10,000 on this deal. And that's the basics of real estate wholesaling. Now, I know you're going to have a lot of questions after watching this, especially if you're a complete beginner inside of here. But I'm going to answer all of those questions for the most part inside of this video. I just wanted to give you guys a clear overlay, a basic principle of how this business works, so you have some more information going inside of here. Don't think about it too much. Just take action on what I tell you inside of here, and I can help you out. And one of the biggest concerns that a lot of you guys have is this legal? Is this ethical? Is it moral? It's a win-win-win situation, first of all, as far as like ethics involved and someone selling it for a discount price. There's a lot of reasons someone will sell their house at a discount, but we'll ignore that for a second. The seller is winning because they get this deal off their hands. They're tired of the house. They don't care how much you make off the deal. They just want it off their hands for $50,000. They're happy. They're happy that they were able to finally get rid of it. And then the buyer is happy as well because he was able to make $30,000 on the deal. And then you, the one that gets the contract and everything, you're happy as well because you made $10K. So it's a win-win-win situation. Everybody's winning in here. No one's losing. You're making $10,000. The seller's getting rid of their house. The buyer's making $30,000. And you didn't have to put any money down whatsoever inside of this deal. And so as far as like legal side of this business, I have to say I am not a legal attorney. I can't give you guys legal advice. But in every single state, this business, for my own experience, is that it is legal. I have students in just about every single state in this country, and anywhere ranging from like New York to Ohio to Atlanta to California to where I live in Idaho. And all these different states, there's a legal way of doing this. And I'll tell you guys, like, you can just do it like this. You get a purchase agreement, you sign the purchase agreement with the seller, and you sign an assignment contract with the buyer, and you just have the title company figure everything out. And it's legal, but there's some times where you have to do a double closing and all this other stuff, but I'll break it down inside this video. So don't hold on to your questions for those types of things, and make sure that you watch this through, because I'm going to explain that all for you guys. So now that you guys understand the basic principle and you have the motivational aspects and figuring out what your why is, now let's get into the nitty gritty. What is the step-by-step process on going out there and wholesaling a house? And what would I do if I was in your shoes and haven't had closed a deal yet, and maybe you kind of understand the business a little bit, maybe taking some action, or you have no idea what you're doing whatsoever? What would I do if I were you? If I didn't have any skills whatsoever, anything like that. So the most important part of this business is finding motivated sellers. That's the most important part. Finding someone that's willing to sell their house at a deeply discounted price. And some of the reasons why someone would sell their house at a motivated price is, like, let's say the tired landlord situation that I explained. They're just tired of renting out their house. They just want it off their hands. Another option is, like, maybe they have a distressed property. It takes a lot of work to get it fixed up, and it's just too much work. Another reason as well is because they got a new job across the country and they have to go there right now. It's a higher pay. They're just tired. They just need to get rid of their house. There's other options, like some people just hate realtors. They don't want to sell their house with a realtor. They had a bad experience and they want to sell their house at a discount because of that. Maybe they're behind on their taxes. Maybe they're about to foreclose on their house. Maybe they had fire damage. The list goes on. Maybe they're having a new kid and it turns out that all this is happening way faster than they thought. The list goes on. There's a lot of reasons why someone would sell their house at a discount. They just want the house off their hands, and believe it or not, people don't always want retail price for their house. So now that you understand that, now that you understand what a motivated seller is and why someone would sell their house at a deep discount, now how do we find them? How do we find these sources where people are like literally just screaming at the top of their lungs, take my house? How do we find these types of people? And inside of here, I'm going to give you guys, for the most part, a lot of free ways. There's also some other ways that I highly recommend. It's going to cost a little bit of money, but you don't have to do it to have success. All of this that I'm showing inside of here, you can do it for 100% free, but some of the ways that I recommend inside of here, if you spend a little bit of money, it will help you out a lot more than doing it for the free way. But if you're doing the free ways, it's going to take a little bit more time, understandable, but this is what I would do. So first things first, how to find motivated sellers. What I would do is go over to Craigslist, and I'm just in my local Craigslist because I was too lazy to pull up the other one. So what I would do is create a post and just go inside of there and create a post and basically break down what you do as far as like looking for houses at a deep discounted price. And so if I go into, let's say, real estate for sale, and I type in cash buyers, what you can do is like take some of these people's examples, or we buy houses, and there's like all these different posts that a lot of people have in all these different areas. So like maybe check out some different areas, like maybe Twin Falls has some better posts. So you can just use one of these posts and run with it. Just kind of duplicate what they are doing and copy kind of their layout. Maybe if I go into like a different city, there's some better examples. For some reason, Idaho doesn't have that many examples as far as things go for these types of posts. So I bet if I go inside of Denver, there's going to be a little bit better examples. So we buy houses. And here's some more that say, hey, we distress houses for sale as is condition. It's one company really basically taking over this post. And since you see it's just one company, that means no one else is doing it. So if you can kind of duplicate what they're doing and just post every single day inside of here like they are. My camera quit recording. I kind of expected it for this, doing this long of a video. But if you just duplicate what they're doing and kind of create like a duplicate post, maybe something that's better than just net worth realty. I'm not saying that's bad, but try to just do something that's just, hey, we buy houses, and you do this consistently. You'll have people call you up and say, hey, that I'm willing to buy a house. You can just go in, kind of see what they post, and kind of just take what they're doing and replicate it inside of your post. and build up, find leads that way. And you can do this in multiple different cities. You're not just limited to one city, and you're going to be able to find discounted properties that way. I was able to close my first deal off of this strategy actually, and it took like 2 months. I posted just one post, and 2 months later I was able to close a deal. You can call it luck, but if you do it more often than I did, I kind of just forgot about it, then you can go out there and have success doing this. So now the next thing that I would do is just go into the real estate for sale, just the general section, and I would call up every single listing. I would call every single one of these. I wouldn't even look at the post. So what I would do is just click on this one, find the phone number, boom, call them. And then I would go to this one, spring break land sale, find the phone number. It's probably like up here in the top. Yeah, reply, you click it, call them, boom. 523K investment property. I don't even care. I don't care anything about what the posting says. I'm calling them and getting a hold of them and getting them on the phone and finding out if they're a motivated seller. I find out right away if they're a motivated seller or not, and if they're not, I move on to the next one. Now, how do we figure out whether or not they are a motivated seller? And this is where a seller's script comes in hand. Basically, you just go back to it and you look at it and you kind of just reference from it as to what the questions are that you're going to ask the sellers. And this is the one thing that I apologize for you guys. It's inside of my courses. This is the only thing inside of this video that I can think of right now that I will not give you guys, but I will give you guys a general overlay, and from it, you can create your own script if you would like. If you want my scripts, they're in my courses, but the only reason I'm not giving it out is just because it would be unfair for those that have paid money to get my scripts and get some other resources that are in my courses. And so it's like a general overlay of how I create my script is just qualifying the lead and trying to build as much rapport over the phone with them as possible. And the way that I do that is, first of all, I would just, as soon as you call them, just get straight to the point. Hi, this is Devin. I was calling about 123 Main Street. Are you interested in selling the house? And off of that, whatever they say, then I usually like to backtrack. It's kind of like talking to it's like a dog if you see one on the streets. If you run after a dog, chances are they're going to run away from you. But if you run away from a dog and act scared, or not necessarily act scared, but run away, the dogs chase after you. And don't evaluate this too much. It's kind of like just a general kind of phrase. But the point that I'm making is run away from the seller. As soon as they're like, yeah, I'm trying to sell it, what I would be like, oh, sorry, did I catch you in the middle of something? Kind of push them away and just act like you don't need to talk to them. It's like if they want to talk to you, awesome. The point is we're trying to get them to sell to you, and then ask for them to tell you more about the property. And just go in depth. Have them explain everything. I don't care what the Craigslist ad. Pretend like you didn't see it. Just be like, hey, a friend gave me the number. Sorry, I didn't see what was on the listing. Have them tell you everything about the house and anything that needs attention. So I would ask some other questions like, how much do you owe on the repairs on the house? How much do you think this property is worth? And where did you get that number from as far as what this property is worth? And then ask them straight up, how much do you owe on the property? How much is your mortgage? Just ask them the question, figure out how much they owe, so that way you can figure out what the numbers look like. And just get straight to the point, just how much do you owe on it? And figure out everything that you would ever need to know about the property, and try to get them to really sell it to you and make it seem like in order for you to buy it, you need something really good, like a good deal. And now that you've kind of broken down all of these different points, then you want to ask them hey, so if I were to pay you all cash and close quickly, what would be the best price you'd consider if I paid for all the closing costs and there'd be no realtor's commission to pay? And just listen to what they have to say. You can use that exact line word for word. That's one of the parts that I asked. It's one of the most important questions in my script. But I ask that question and I wait for them to give me an answer. It'll probably be the same price that they have on the posting. It's whatever. It doesn't really matter. They're probably going to be like, okay, $32,000, for example, on this mobile home. I don't wholesale mobile homes. We'll do this Aurora home for sale, $530K. They'll be like $530,000. And what I want you to do is really ponder it. Just kind of maybe that rub your chin kind of feeling, and just be like, $530,000, $530. Is that the best you can do, Mr. Seller? And just ask them that. And if they say, no, what if we did $510,000? Just do it again. Just keep doing it until you get like an absolute answer. I really don't care what the number is. I'm just seeing how much they're willing to budge. The more that they budge, the more that they're willing to change the price, and they tell you one number and then all of a sudden it's way lower, or even just $10,000 less, that means they're willing to negotiate with you. That means there might be some motivation there. And that is really important to know and notice. I don't really care what the numbers are. I just care that I can figure out that they're willing to negotiate. They're willing to bring the price down a little bit. If they're just straight up $530,000, okay, is that the best you're willing to do, Mr. Seller? Yes, $530,000. I probably wouldn't. That's not a motivated seller. And what I would do is get their contact information and just talk to them later. If they really want you to send them an offer, I always ask them like 5 to 7 times what they're willing to sell their house for. And if they're still just like, I don't know, then I give them an offer, which I'll show you guys how to break down the offer inside of here. But that's kind of that's my strategy. Just go through, call all the real estate for sale by owner. And then what also you can do is real estate by owner and apartments housing for rent. And call all of these as well. Now, the thing is, when you call these, do the same strategy. Don't look at the listing. Don't look at the posting. Just call every single phone number. You're going to get a lot of realtors. You're going to get a lot of management companies. You're going to get a lot of unmotivated people to sell their house at a discount. And just write down every single number. If they are not if they're not a seller, then write down their information. If they're a realtor, network with them. If they're an investor, write their information down. If they're a wholesaler, write their information down. Just network with everybody that isn't a seller. And what you're going to do on the for rent by owner section, just call everybody up. And first of all, ask them if they're willing to sell 123 Main Street. And if they say yes, then go into the script that I kind of just told you guys about. But if not, ask them if they're willing to be sent deeply discounted properties and build up their rental portfolio. If they're a management company, a property management company, they probably know a bunch of real estate investors. If they're just a landlord themselves, then they probably want more properties. And this is going to build up your cash buyers list like I was talking about in the intro on what a cash buyer is. And so it's kind of like a win-win strategy on this one. You're going to be able to get kind of like a cross result. You're going to be able to find sellers and network with them. And then you're also going to be able to find buyers as well. And with this, it's all just about experience and building up your skills and being able to kind of get used to talking to sellers, even go on some appointments, even if they're not motivated. Chances are you're probably not talking to a motivated seller. And just go get used to figuring out what the difference is. And you're going to talk to a lot more people that aren't motivated. And it's just something that comes with the business. So now the next strategy that I would do is I would put in a lot of hours into the Craigslist strategy that I just showed you guys. Keep consistent with the postings and everything, but it's going to take a lot of work. On top of that, if that doesn't work after a long time and you get caught up on all the listings, you call everybody out of all of these different posts and everything, this is what I would do next. Is I would go and get some lists from the county. The crazy thing is the county and the government have a lot of public records that you wouldn't think they would be willing to give out. For example, you can find out if someone's behind on their taxes for more than 2 years. And that's a good thing for you and me, because if they're behind on their taxes for 2 or more years, that means that if they're not paying their taxes, that means there's some other circumstances probably going on in their life. They're probably not paying their mortgage. They're probably really motivated to sell their house. They're not able to make the payments. And we want to get a hold of these people. So what you can do is go in and ask for a tax delinquency list and just explain to them, hey, I'm looking for a list of people that are behind on their taxes, also known as a tax delinquency list. And go in there and ask them for this list. And then if you can find the right person that's willing to give you this list, tell them, hey, I'm looking for a list of people that are 2 years plus behind on their taxes. Because after about 2 years, that's when you start getting mail from the county and everything saying like, hey, you're going to be evicted or you're going to lose your property or whatever it may be. So find out who can give you this list. I recommend don't just ask one person. Go in multiple times to multiple different offices and see if you can get this list. And you can try to go into like the county assessors. That's what works in my county. You can go into the courthouse. You can go to like just ask every different table that you can run into at the county offices and ask them where you can find the tax delinquency list. And they say between like 5 to 7 times, which I've kind of experienced that myself. Then you can find a discounted you can find the tax delinquency list. There was one time I went into the county, and this was a different county than I've normally done before. I went in and they're like, I had no idea what I was doing. Luckily, I was the only one there. There was like 10 people working. This was the stupidest thing that ever happened. And now I'm just like, man, the government sucks. At least their processes and their systems. So I went up. I had no idea what I was doing. They're like, okay, so there's this like little computer kind of kiosk thing. They're like, all right, press this button and this button, and it'll send you over, like it'll give you a ticket, and then you'll be called on. So I did it, and I got called over to like this one part of the room. I went over there, and I was like, hey, I'm looking for the tax delinquency list, people that are behind on their taxes. And they're like, oh, I have no idea where that is. Like, I don't do that myself, but if you go to the kiosk and press this button and this button, then you should be able to get sent to the right person. So I did it. I got sent over to another person, and the same thing. They're like, oh, go back to the kiosk and hit this button and this button. And I did this until I went to like the 9th person. The 9th person, I finally went up. It was this older woman, and she was all like, I was like, hey, how's it going? I'm trying to help people pay off their taxes and get money back to the county by finding the tax delinquency list and getting in contact with these sellers. And they're like, oh, hey, sweetie, just here, this is a list. What details do you want? Do you want me to print it off for you? Do you want me to email you an Excel spreadsheet? Do you want me to email it as a PDF? And I'm like, where the hell have you been this entire like 30-minute walk around of trying to talk to all these different people and getting damn tickets this whole entire time? And that's probably gonna be how it is. Probably not the ticket kiosk thing. It might be if you're in a bigger county, but just go in and keep asking people until that one person's like, oh, hey, sweetie, yeah, this is what you got to do. And if you act like curious and just trying to help people, you have that mindset and just like, hey, I'm trying to help people out. I'm trying to help people pay off their taxes. I'm helping the county get more money back in taxes with people that aren't paying their taxes. And when you do that, they're kind of more willing to help you out. They're more willing to be like, okay, this is how the tax delinquency alert works. This is when they get added into the system. This is when people lose their properties for not paying it off for this long. And they're going to give you all this information. So find that woman or the old lady that's working at the county assessors that's willing to give you all this information. It may be a dude. I really don't know. This was just a situation for myself. So go in, get the tax delinquency list. And what you're going to do is, if it has phone numbers, call every single person on that list. If it doesn't have phone numbers, but it's just addresses, you're going to want to skip trace the list. And you're going to want to use a website called superempower.com. I'll put the link down in the description down below. And they have subscription plans where you can get the leads for a lot cheaper, or you can pay as you go and just pay per list. So if you're getting started, you're probably just paying for one list. But if you're planning on doing this long term, I really recommend a subscription. And the skip tracing costs between it gets as low as I think it was 9 cents, maybe even less if you get one of the higher up plans to 25 cents per lead. So, I mean, if you're doing like 1,000 leads from the tax delinquency list, it's going to cost you about $250. But I really recommend it because this list is super, super highly concentrated of motivated sellers. When I got my tax delinquency list, I was able to close 3 or 4 deals off of that one list that I got when I first got started. And I was able to get results from it pretty quickly. So I really recommend it. What's $250 when you're making $40,000 off of this list? I'm not saying that's the results that you're going to get. I'm just saying that was my own personal experience as to what happened with the list. So get it skip traced. And if it just has parcel ID numbers, if it doesn't, don't worry about it. But if it does have only parcel ID numbers, no addresses, no phone numbers, and maybe just names, what you're going to have to do is go into the county assessor website and look up each individual parcel ID number and get the address for these and then skip trace it. It's a pain in the butt, but that's what happened to me. I was able to only get the parcel IDs, and it took us like a cumulative of 16 hours to do it, to be able to get this list with all the addresses and then skip trace it. But it was really worth it for us, and being able to get this going. It was like a list of like only 1,300 addresses, and we were able to make about $40,000 off of this list. And if you're one of those states or those counties that's just like, hey, we don't give out the tax delinquency list or any of these public data lists, you have to buy them for $300, I really recommend that you check out rebogateway.com. I personally haven't used this website, but a lot of people that this happens to, I send them over to this website or I've been recommended to it, and they've been able to get the tax delinquency list from it. So it's Rebo, like kind of robot with an E instead, and then gateway.com. So REBOT gateway.com. Go check that website out if they're charging you a lot of money for the list. Or the other option is go to superempower.com. The link's down in the description down below, and they can sell lists for you and get you a lot of this data for you as well at a pretty cheap price. So now that you've gotten this list, what I recommend that you do is call every single phone number. So there's two ways of doing this. You can either just take your cell phone and dial every single one in and get on the phone with them and call them, or the other option is for you to get what's known as a dialer. And so if you get, it's called mojosales.com. It's a mojo dialer is what everybody calls it. And basically you import the list, your Excel spreadsheet that you get back with all the phone numbers, and it'll go through and call all these numbers for you and leave a voicemail if they don't answer, and just keep moving forward, and it'll keep track of who all you've talked to on the phone. And what this is really good for is keeping track of who's in what situation, and it's like a CRM, a customer relationship management tool, also known as like a database, which is going to be really crucial for keeping track of all these leads. So it's like $100 a month, but you're able to just speed through your calls. And you can even get up to 3 lines, which it's one of the more expensive plans, but it's going to help you go through a lot of these different lists. So I highly recommend that you check these different websites out and just keep going out there and using your script and trying to find these motivated sellers. So now the next part, after, let's say that you do find a motivated seller, you go into the house, they're really willing to sell their house at a discount. And actually, real quick, before I jump into it fully, if you find a motivated seller, what you really want to do is just build up a lot of rapport. That's the most important part. Figure out how, just build up the relationship, become their best friend, and build up the rapport in the relationship. And once you do this, it's kind of easier to get the deal moving forward and everything. And then also another thing is the numbers side of things. How to figure out whether or not this is a deal or not. And I don't want you to jump out of this video just yet. I want to cover everything first, but I don't want to break this all down. It's kind of like a math thing, and I don't feel like going through my computer and breaking this all down when I've already made the videos on this. So I'm going to put this playlist on how to figure out what the property is worth and what you should offer. I'm going to put it in the description down below, and I'm going to put it at the end of this video. Go check those videos out. I don't want you to jump to it yet, but if you need answers to that part, then go check that part out. It's going to be super crucial. It's going to break everything down for you, and it's going to kind of make everything easier for you. Figuring out whether or not you got a good deal or not, and what you need to offer, all that stuff. I'm going to break it down inside of there, just because I don't want to spend 45 minutes breaking all that down inside of this one video. That's the one part I don't feel like doing. So once you figure out the numbers, you're going to need the contracts if you guys agree on a price and it makes sense. So the best place to be able to get these contracts and all of the information that you need, I do give these away for free, and it's down in the description down below. These are just general contracts. You can use them in your county. I don't know if they're 100% legal, if they have all the right requirements in every single state. I recommend that you take them over to a title company or a real estate attorney to make sure that everything is good with them. But to be honest with you guys, I was able to just use these contracts, and I didn't get anybody to look over it, and I was able to make the deal work. The most important part is that you find a motivated seller and that they're motivated to sell their house at a discount, because if they're motivated, the paperwork really doesn't matter all that much, to be honest with you guys. So what you're going to do is you're going to sign a purchase agreement with the seller. You're going to go over the contract with them, and I'll put some videos down below as well, going over the contracts, how to fill them out and everything. So you're going to fill out a contract with the seller, and you're going to be covering all the things inside there and making sure that everything makes sense with them. You'll have a couple of contingencies inside there. The contingencies are broken down in the playlist that I'm giving you for the contracts. and just go over everything with them inside of there and get it signed up. So as soon as you get it signed up, you're going to need to give them some sort of earnest money. What an earnest money is basically saying that this contract is legally binding and that you are able to start moving the deal forward. And the thing is that majority of real estate deals, they expect like thousands of dollars for it and everything. But what I've always done recently, I kind of figured out, I used to do $1,000 earnest money deposits, and it kind of hurt the wallet a little bit when I was getting started. But what I figured out is you can just tell them like, hey, in order for this contract to be legally binding, I have to give you some sort of earnest money. So if I could just give you this $10 that I have in my wallet right here, we can get the deal moving right away. We don't have to waste any time. And just give them that option. And if they're really motivated and they want to get it moving forward, they're probably cool with just doing whatever it takes to get this moving forward so you don't have to waste any time. And if they're like, no, I want a higher earnest money deposit, then I would just explain to them, okay, well, I don't know how it is in your state, by the way. I would ask someone that can give you legal advice inside of your state. But inside of my state, I can just be like, well, according to like Idaho, I have like 3 days to give you earnest money. And so it's going to take me 3 days to be able to get it to you, and I'll take it over to the title company and I'll deposit it there so that way they can just have it all safekeeping and everything. Or what we can do is just get this all processed and move forward right away, and I can give you $10 right now. So I give them both options at that point, but obviously I'm not giving you guys legal advice. That's just what I recommend, and try to get it as low as possible. One time I did it for $1 and that was pretty cool. So you got to give them something, and then you send the contract and the earnest money over to the title company, and they can start, just tell them to open escrow on this deal. And with the title company, this part's really important as well. You're going to want to find a title company or a closing attorney inside of your state that is real estate investor friendly. So just look up title companies in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know, whatever city that you live in, and just call these different title companies. Or you can ask some local real estate investors if you know any. Figure out what title company is the best company for real estate investors and they understand real estate wholesaling. So just call up all these different companies, ask them if they know what real estate wholesaling is. If they say no, move on to the next one, try to find a different title company. It's not really worth wasting your time trying to figure out how to close the deal with this title company. Just find one that's had experience, and chances are inside of your state or area, you can find one. If not, then what I really recommend, if you're really having trouble finding one, is that you go to a RIA meeting, which is a Real Estate Investor Association meeting. You can Google it inside of your states. So type in RIA Minnesota, RIA California, RIA Colorado, RIA Colorado. If you type it in, and what you're going to do is you're going to come across these meetings that they have. They usually charge money to go to them, but they let you go to the first one for free. You can go to these meetings, network with people, and find out who has a title company that works really well with them, especially if they're a real estate wholesaler. So figure out what the best title company is and work with them. The title company really makes or breaks the business. So it either makes your day really easy or it makes it like a living hell. So find the one that's going to make your day a lot easier. So it's going to be a lot easier for you. Now that you have gotten everything over to the title company, you sent all the paperwork there, this is where the cash buyer takes place. Now that you've got the discounted property that's able to make you some money on the assignment fee and everything, now this is where you want to find someone that's going to be willing to buy this property off of you. And there's a couple of different ways to do this. They're 100% free, and I'm going to give them all to you guys. So the first way, like I said, you can go to RIA meetings. So you can go there and ask that, figure out who's willing to buy properties, who's willing to buy investment properties, figure out the criteria that they want, and send them these deals. You're going to want to build up the list as big as possible because there's a lot of time wasters. There's a lot of people that are just like, oh yeah, I'm a real estate investor. And maybe they bought one house in their entire life. And then there's those other people that have bought 50 houses every single year, and they need more deals in order to fuel their needs or their business. So just get everybody's business cards, put them in an Excel spreadsheet, and keep track of all these buyers. Another good way is you can jump over to here. I'll jump inside my computer, go into Facebook, and for example, we'll do Boise Real Estate Investors. And you can find these different groups, for example, Boise Real Estate Investors. I can jump inside there. And what I would do is I would just create a post inside there, just be like, hey, I come across deeply discounted properties all the time. I'm a real estate wholesaler, and I'm looking for investors that are interested in purchasing these deals. If you create a post inside of there, your post will probably blow up. Just join a bunch of these different like local groups inside of your area that are smaller, and that's where a lot of investors hang out. So jump inside of there, because there's a lot of deals that may be posted in there, and get them into your list. And just tell them like, hey, they're usually like 50 to 80% off the dollar. So like 50 to 80 cents off the dollar. So they're usually super discounted, and I need someone to pick up these deals for me. I can't buy them, whatever. So just tell them like, hey, I'll send them over to you. And just build up your list that way as well. You can talk to them through the DMs, message everybody, and tell them what you do. That's another solid way to do it. Another way is to just go out there and Google local auctions, local real estate auctions in your area. And what you can do is go to these auctions and just network with everybody that's there at these auctions, and figure out who the cash buyers are. Because if you go to an auction, you have to like buy the house then and there. When people are like throwing up like, hey, I'm going to spend this much, I'll do this much, you have to usually have a cashier's check in hand that you can just write over to, so that way you can process everything. Because if you don't have the money and you win the bid, you actually have to pay like a huge fee in a lot of places, and you get like till like sundown essentially in order to pay it all off, buy the house, or else you get a huge fat fine for not being able to buy the house. So these people have cash in hand ready to buy houses, and just network with these people. But I don't recommend that you talk to them during the auction. I recommend that you talk to them before and after the auction, because they'll probably get pissed at you if you're trying to talk to them while the bidding's going on and everything. So I recommend that you go to those. Sometimes they're only online auctions, which sucks. So if you have online auctions, then obviously you can't do the strategy. But if it's in person, you go to the bank, or you go to the courthouse, or you go to the house and they have the auction there, then that's where you want to be to be able to buy the property and be able to network with these people. You want to network with these sellers. And so now that you've built up this list, you'll want to send them all this deal. What I recommend is you just give them all a phone call, tell them about the house, and try to set up a walkthrough inspection with these buyers. So what I recommend is that you get all these buyers collectively together on one day and get them to walk through this property, and make sure that this property is for them, so that way they can buy the deal. And once you get them all walking through the house, make sure to ask everybody what they thought. If they tell you no, ask them why they said no. Simple as that. Have them explain why they don't like the property, and take a mental note of why these people aren't interested in the property, or if they are interested, why are they interested? Do they not like it because it needs a new foundation? Do they not like it because it has like mold in a certain area, and it might cause structural issues that we can't see behind the walls? Figure out why people are saying yes or no, and have them explain what all is going on that behind the scenes that you can't really understand because you're brand new. And just be open-minded. Figure out why they want it or why they don't want it. And what I really recommend is that you set a specific dollar amount that you're willing to assign the contract over for, and market it as an assignable contract. Don't market it as you are the seller yourself, but market it as an assignable contract. And then just make sure that they don't talk about the numbers inside the house, because chances are the seller's probably going to be there. So if they're talking about numbers around the house, it might make the seller a little bit uneasy and everything. So try to get them to talk to you about all the numbers and everything out of the house. And I just wouldn't invite them again if they start doing things that kind of upsets the seller or whatnot. And just go from there. Try to figure out who's willing to buy the house for the most. And if you find someone that's giving you an offer more than what you got it under contract for, and let's say that you got it for $50,000, you're marketing it for $60,000, even if they offer you $55,000 and that's the highest and greatest offer, all cash, then I would take it, and then just have them sign an assignment contract. And then you get them to pay usually a $2,000 to $4,000 earnest money deposit to make sure that they don't run away, and get all the paperwork sent over to the title company and get everything signed up. And once you do all that, that is it. You get paid out. And usually you don't have to sign any more paperwork. The title company will make you sign stuff if they need to, but if not, it should be all self-explanatory. But if you have to cancel the contract, let's say it's not a good deal, then what I would try to do is I would call the seller. Let's say you find out no one's interested after a couple of days, you had a walkthrough inspection. I would just explain to the seller, like, hey, I have to cancel the contract because it goes against these contingencies, which like I said, I'll go over the contingencies inside of the playlist down below. But just say, hey, I am canceling it because of this part. Like my partner didn't approve on the deal. And what they're probably going to do is say, wait, what can we do to make this work? And then just explain to them, like, I just need to get it lower. It's probably not going to work out. And kind of just push them away. Don't ever talk about numbers and make them come to the conclusion that it's their idea to sell it at a deeper price. And so once you do that, maybe you can get it lower and make it work. But if not, move on to the next deal. And really, that's the basics of the business model. My throat's starting to get really tired of talking, but that is really it. I know, like, I kind of skimmed over some things inside of here, and I didn't go like full comprehensive in-depth inside of here on some of the different parts of the business model and of going out there and wholesaling your first house, but I covered everything that's necessary. Everything else that you're probably going to come across inside of this business, you're going to find the answer when you get to that point. Don't worry about anything else. Take it one step at a time. Don't worry about the whole business model. Worry about, like, now that you have a general overlay of how it all works, that's enough to be able to go out there and get results. You don't need to know everything. If you know everything, you're probably going to get information overload. You just need a general overlay, and the details will come as time goes on. So what I really recommend at this point is that you take action from step one. What did I start talking about at the beginning? Mindset. What did I start talking about after that? Is finding a motivated seller. Go find a motivated seller. Until you find a motivated seller, don't worry about everything else and just keep working on your why and finding motivated sellers. And then worry about the next step as time goes on and building up your cash buyers list. All of that just comes with the business and taking action, and just keep taking every single step forward until you get to where you want to be and closing a deal. And I don't want to, like, if you guys have any questions, chances are I've already made a video on a lot of these different questions that you may have where I go super in depth on that one topic. And if you want to know how to do it, just look it up on my channel first of all. If you can't find the answer, drop it down in the comments down below. I'll try to reply to you. Maybe someone else will. But that's what I got for everything. I know, like I said, there's a lot inside of here. But hopefully you guys took a lot of notes. And if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe down below. Highly appreciated. But anyways, go check out these videos right here. And I will see you inside of there, or these videos right here, and click this button if you haven't subscribed already. But anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Peace.